The two programs that we're going to be using is, of course, we'll be using Photoshop, and I'm also going to show you Adobe Bridge. Bridge is kind of a add-on program that I mainly use it to organize my photos. So if I've got a lot of pictures and I've got pictures that are in different folders, I need to be able to quickly find them. Bridge is a great way of doing it. I can load them, I can see them nice and big. I don't have to raffle through a bunch of different folders as well. On Windows, it should show up about the same. However, it's not very intuitive to use Bridge, and you can't do a lot with it, but for what we're going to do, this will actually work. Whenever you use Bridge, here's the first thing to know. At the very top is your navigation. This is where you can quickly find your files and folders. If you look on the right-hand side, as far as the layout goes, you've got Essentials, Film Strip, Metadata, and Output. If I choose Essentials, notice everything will kind of move around. And this will bring up all of your palettes that you normally use. Things like your folders, things like your filters. So if I wanted to find certain images that were only landscape, I can quickly load up all my landscape pictures, or I can load up just my portrait pictures. And that kind of comes in handy if you're having to rotate things around. Keywords, so there's where your metadata comes in. I can add keywords, and I'll show you that. And I can adjust by different stuff as well. Let's see, on this side, yeah, so here's all my keywords. Here's where keywords comes in handy if you're a professional photographer. If you're out doing a picture of a family photo shoot, and let's say I only wanted to see pictures of Dad. Well, I can choose an image, I can come over here, and we'll say I'll add the keyword Dad to it. Now I can choose every image that has him inside of it, and I'm holding down Command to do this, and I can add Dad to it. So if I'm meeting with my client and they say, okay, just show me pictures of the kids, or just pictures of Dad, or just pictures of Mom, I can quickly filter those through and see exactly what's in there. Pretty cool? So, let's see. So for instance, if I come over here to here's my keywords, I just wanted to see Dad, there's just Dad in there, or just Dad and Son, or so-and-so. And if you're shooting 1,000 images, this is where you get your student worker or your intern to be able to sit down and do this. This is usually the first thing you do when image editing. Second thing, so I'm going to choose Output. Output is what you'll probably be more interested in and what you can do with this. By the way, before I jump into that, to choose a folder, I meant to go back up here. Here's our kind of folder structure. You can see I'm on my desktop. I saved everything under a folder called Raise Photos, and these are the ones that I've edited. If I need to change wherever I'm at, I can always go back like to my desktop, and there's Mr. Ivy's folder, photos or paintings or whatever from there. Okay, so let's go back to edited. I've got all of these images down here. One thing you can do if you want to send somebody all of their pictures, and you don't want to just send it like one at a time, you can make what's called a contact sheet. A contact sheet is just all of the images are really small, and they're on, usually it's a PDF or several per page, and you would send that to them. So I'm going to go down here at the bottom, click the first one, scroll over, Shift, click, so I've got all of 22 loaded up. Over here on the right, Output. Bridge lets you do two types of outputs. A PDF was what I was just talking about. You can also make a simple web gallery, which is an HTML document. It's a little more advanced than what we need, so I'm just going to stick to the PDF. And it's got several different made templates. So this would be 2 by 2, 2 images by 2. We'll do a 5 by 8. From here, you can customize the size of them. What it's going to do is go through and resize each one of them to fit 5 of them across by 8 of them down, or 5 columns by 8 rows. You can see, give it a name, how everything will be laid out to this. I'm just going to keep everything exactly the same. At the very bottom, we'll hit Save, and we'll view the PDF once it's done. Hit Save. In this case, I'll save this to our desktop as Ray Contact Sheet. Hit Save. Give it just a second to think about it. Now I've got a PDF. I can print this off and send it to them. Say, circle the ones that you like, and those are the ones that I would email to them. Saves a lot of time. Really, really great thing to do. If you're turning in, I don't know, student work, you want to show these types of things, this is one way of doing it as well. Pretty cool. So that's under Output, making a PDF contact sheet. The second thing I use Bridge to do is to rename all of my photos as well. I'll go back to Essentials Layout. Right now you can see I've got them set to just the default, whatever the camera called them. What I would like to do is to give them a more personal kind of name. To do this, at the very top, one of your tools is to batch rename all of these. And this is really fun. You can do a lot more than is necessary with it. First thing to know is we're using the ones that are selected. The destination folder, you can either rename the exact ones that you have, or you can tell it to move or copy those. Just for sake of convenience, or being able to undo, I usually do a copy to some other folder. I'm just going to rename the same one. Here's how you can rename it. You got several different options. Usually, you need at least one field. You can give it some text. So if I want, this will be Gregory family, followed by an underscore. Remember, you don't want to put a space in something. The underscore is the space when naming a file. Then you can give it a sequential number or a sequential letter, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. You can give it a date and a time. You can even add metadata to it. In our case, let's do a sequential number. We'll start it off at 001. 1, 2, or 3 digits. Why would you want to know how many digits per each one? If you got more than 10 images, you're going to need more than 1 digit. If you got more than 100, you're going to need 2. Usually 3 is enough, else it'll start counting over, and that's not good by itself. If I wanted to add more to the name, I can always hit the plus sign, and I could add more information to it if I get rid of that, if I don't need it. So we'll start off sequence of 1. You can preserve the file metadata, which we're not getting into right now. So let's hit rename. Give it just a second, and you can see now these are all renamed 1 through 22 down at the bottom. Pretty cool. So that's one quick way of being able to do that. Okay, so that's using Adobe Bridge, either as to rename or to output and make a contact sheet. I'm not going to require you to do a contact sheet. Let's jump into Photoshop and actually talk about batch processing or batch editing several different images as well. Last semester I did the ASID type convention workshop. Yeah, Career Day workshop. They asked me to go in and take pictures, little headshots of people. They come in, they sit down, I snap off about 4 or 5 different images, and then I just send them whatever I have. I had my lighting set up, I had my situation where they sit, so all they had to do was sit and I take their picture. The problem is people have different skin tones. I had to adjust the lights up and down, things move. So every once in a while I had to make some adjustments. All of them I had to do other type of adjustments, like getting rid of the grain in the background of it. So if I've got multiple camera raws, oh, come on. There we go. Multiple camera raw images. I'm going to select all of them and drag them into Photoshop. Here's what comes up, and you may have experienced this as well. On the left-hand side, and after a second it'll load up, I get a preview of what all of the images look like. The one that I have selected, that's the one we're going to be editing. And actually, I'll tell you what, I've already done the edits. I need to move these out. Notice that I've got my XMP folders. Let's move this away. My edits were showing up. Let's redo this again. Bear with me for a second. There we are. Now they're unedited. Notice I still got the grain. What I want to do, in other words, if I got one of them selected, any edits that I make, if I lighten her up, only affects that one image. If I want it to affect all of them, you can either choose Select All, or I can hold down Shift and select the ones that I want. Now, when I go to make an exposure or whatever change, they will all change exactly as well. You can do it from there. Another thing you can do, if if I worked on one of them, let's say I know for this one, I want the exposure to be a little bit darker, and I want to have a little vignette, and I want to adjust my noise, and oh, let's do some cropping. We'll crop these to be 4x5. Zoom out so I can see it. So it'll be nice. Oh, come on. There we go. So I want those to all be cropped. And I've just been working on the one. What I can do is select all again. Notice I only worked on one. I can synchronize. Now this is the one that's selected. If you choose synchronize, this will say, what do you want to synchronize? White balance, exposure, contrast, all of that good stuff. Even my crop, we'll synchronize that one. When I say okay, then it will go through and will actually do all the same edits from those. I do recommend then going through each individual one and kind of make sure that each one looks exactly the same. But now I don't have to open them up one at a time. I know I wanted to make all those edits, and then I can go through and synchronize each one as well. Pretty cool. Remember, if I hit open image, it's only going to open that one image. Make sure they're either all selected, or if, let's say I didn't like this one, I can hit delete and it'll give me a little X. Now when I select them all and I do open images, it'll open all however many that I had minus the one that I deleted away. Pretty cool? Okay. Keep saying that. I like saying that. And there they all are. From here, what I need to do, oh, it's going to take its time about doing this. I'll tell you what, I'm going to hit cancel. What I would need to do is to resize them. Remember I asked y'all to at least resize them to upload to Moodle. Maybe I would want to resize these to send them over the internet, make them a small size. We will do this to some of the Gregory family photos, so I'll open these up. And there's a couple of different ways that we can do this. Okay. If I was to resize this, remember we can go to image, down to image size, and then I would type in whatever image I want it to be, 5x7, change the resolution to like 100. Say okay, then go to the next one, do the same thing. Here's how we're going to make it simple. One of your windows is called your Actions window. You'll need to open it up, and if you see it, it usually has a little play button. Actions give you the ability to record the same steps over and over again, and then you can play them back. So literally what I'm going to do is record myself changing the size of it, and then when I go to the next one, I can play it back and redo it. Now I was testing this out earlier. By default it's called Action 1. I'm going to erase Action 1. Oops, cancel. And we'll start from scratch. Say okay. So I've got my Actions folder set up, and this takes a little bit of practice getting used to it. But to make a new one, there it is at the bottom left. The first thing it's going to ask you can give it a name. We'll do resize. The second thing you can do is you can give it a function key. And these are the F keys at the top. Now for Macintosh, the F keys are already, like for instance F1 and 2, this adjusts the brightness of it. If I want the F1, hold down the little function F1 as well. So I'm going to assign F1 to this action, and you can give it a color. We won't have to do that. And record. Notice now I'm recording. Everything that I do, so if I go to image, image size, we'll make it 5x7. We'll drop the resolution to 100. We'll say okay, so nice and small. I can even do a save as, and I don't want to save it in the same thing. I'm going to save all these to the desktop. Do save, okay, and I'll even close it out. Notice what my Actions pad does. There's resize, get a different image size, there's the saving, there's the closing out. Once I'm finished, there's the second most important thing. Make sure you hit your stop button. If y'all remember VCRs, the stop, play, record, it's in recording mode. If I stop, it's stopped. So now when I come to something like this, if I want to play the resize, I can go up to here, I can hit play down here, one click. You didn't even see it happen, but it actually resized it, and on my desktop, I've now got a resized image automatically. Or function F1, hit that, resize down, resize down. And I can just go through and hit every single one of them, and they're all nice and done. See how quick that was? I'm going to make it even quicker. Oh, but it gets even better. The order now. If I opened up several images, I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep this. I know I've got it in the edited thing. We'll get even more fancy. If you go up to File, Automate, we've been using the Photo Merge and the HDR Pro. Here's Batch processing. With this one, I can actually tell it to look in a specific folder, do every image in that folder, and then save it to another folder, or do whatever from this one. In this case, our source will be a folder, and I do need to find it. It's on my desktop. And great photos. There they are. Under my keepers, under my edited. So edited folder is the one that I want. Hit choose. If you got subfolders, open commands, all this, everything should be good. I do like to suppress the color profile because every once in a while colors will mess up. You can do that as well. What do I want to do? Do I want to save it and close, or do I want to actually save it to another folder? In this case, we'll choose the folder. Let's say I make a new one on my desktop. We'll call this done. Choose. It's going to save it to there. I can give it a different name if I want to. In my case, I really don't want to do this, but we'll just, whatever the document name, we'll keep it that. The final thing, and here's another thing. If there's ever any problems, any errors that happens, automatically it will stop doing whatever comes up. What you don't want to do is be doing 100 of these and have it stop on the 5th one, and you come back and, oh, it didn't do it. So I'm going to log any errors to a file, and that file is going to be saved on my desktop. When I say OK, it's going to go to that folder, open it up, and actually do all of the work for me. If I've got 1,000 pictures, this is where I walk away and get coffee, come back, and everything's done. And you can see it's actually doing this a lot faster than I can do this manually by myself. If I look on my desktop while it's working, well, it didn't save it to my folder, oops, but you can see it's actually racking up all the different images as they're done, saving them one at a time. Usually I have a pre-made folder I should have selected from there. Looks like it's all done. Everything's good. If I had any errors, there should be, I think this is probably it. Yeah, start batch and no errors that came up with that. Pretty cool. Okay, here's the second thing you can do. Here's the final thing that you actually have to do for your online portfolio. Excuse me. Is I want you to add your name or a logo or something watermarked onto your image. So I'll do this one with this particular image. I'm going to get rid of resize. Just kind of, and we'll make a new one. Make a new one. I'll do function F1. It's just kind of the default. I'll hit record. If I wanted to add my name to this one, I'm going to grab my type tool. Instead of just clicking once, I want you to make a text box. So I'm going to click and drag, got my box. You'll see why in just a second. And so we'll do a copyright. Option G on a Macintosh will give you copyright. 2015, Ben Ivy. If I wanted to change that up, here's all my options up here. I think that's good enough. Maybe I'll make it a little bit larger. Hit the check mark. There it is, set there. To place it, let's say I wanted this not to be in the center right here, but actually down in the bottom left-hand corner, right-hand corner. Remember, we've got two different layers. Hold down Shift and select both of them. If I choose my Move tool, this tool right here, at the very top, I've got some alignment options. These will allow me to align my topmost object, in this case my text, to whatever's on there. So in this case, I want it to be at the bottom, doop, and I want it to be on the far right-hand side. It should be that one. Pretty cool. Notice that it didn't go all the way over to the edge. Why didn't it do that? Why is it stopping right here, not going all the way to the bottom right edge.
Maybe the text box, I don't know.
The text box, exactly. The text box is actually the edge that it's aligning everything to. If I wanted to be closer in, I need to change the size of my text box, which is something, like I said, you'd play around to work with. But I've got it down there. I'll just keep it like that for now. If you wanted to, you can add other things. So I'm opening up my layer styles. I'll double click that. Things like doing a drop shadow can be added to there. A lot of people like to drop the, we'll say okay that. Drop the opacity of what you're working with so it doesn't look so stark. Yeah, maybe like 50, 60%. But there's my name on top of there. Once I'm finished, I can even flatten this. And I can do a save as. And we'll save this to the desktop as a JPEG. Say OK. Close it out. Done. OK, so let's try this again. Got all the images that I want. I can either open them all up, or I can go to File, down to Automate and Batch Process. Let's see if I can automatically add my name at the bottom of each one of these things. So there's function F1. Done. You can almost see it working on the screen. I'm looking at those. There's my name. There's my name. There's my name. So on and so forth. Pretty cool. If you have a logo, works the same way. Go ahead and prep your logo. There it is. So I downloaded this one off the internet. So in my case, I would want my logo to be placed on, oh boy, I don't want that. Copy it, paste it, there we go. You know, placed in the center, I would want to drop the opacity, do something like that. In this case, I would do, so let's make another action. New one, we'll do function 2. File and place. In our case, I'm placing the, there we are. Photoshop file, I can resize it. There it is at the center, drop the opacity. Flatten the image, and I'm done. Just remember to hit stop. And we won't save it. I didn't save it on there. Save it and close it out. Hit function, F2. Got the image on there. Function, F2. Where is it? There it is. Okay. And I can quickly batch process and work from there. Okay? That's the main thing I wanted to show you. Whenever you get your images ready for the online portfolio, change the size of them, make them no wider than 5 inches. Height will depend on whatever you have. Change the resolution to 200 dpi. Put either your name or some sort of logo watermarked on top of there. You can design it however you want to design it. And the last thing is to add metadata. Here's the other thing. You can add metadata in Bridge. I'll pull this back up again. We'll go back to the essentials. By, selecting the image that you want, you can go to, it's not keywords, it's actually metadata. Hang on a second. I'm not used to working in Bridge, so I'm going to show you how to do it in Photoshop. Forget that I said Bridge. You can do it in Bridge. If I was in Photoshop and I wanted to add something, this is where you can go to File, your file information, brings up this one. Here's what I want. Here's where you can actually add a title, in this case, you know, ID Photos 1. Give it your name, give it a description, and also give it keywords. Keywords separated by a comma. The only metadata that I'm going to require you to put on there is your name, so you can put it under Arthur. Tell I've done this before. I do want the date on there, so, and it doesn't have to be an exact date, so you can do June 2015 and Mississippi College. That's the only metadata. Now when I hit OK and I save the image, it'll actually be saved to whatever I have, and I can pull it up and actually see. Actually, let's open this up in Bridge. and see if it's been updated. So here's that one. Here's my metadata. Let's see what else has been added to there. There it is. June 15th, Mississippi College, under keywords.
So if you were doing like a picture of somebody,
Mhm.
would you want to put their name under keyword?
If you wanted to, yeah. That would be, that way you can search for and find their particular name. Yes. Cool. Once you're done, what I'm looking for, you're not going to turn anything into me directly. You're going to make your online portfolio and have them uploaded as well.
Is there a place you want us to put the name or the logo specifically?
I'll leave that up to you.
Okay.
So if you
So
want
it doesn't matter how big it is or
Mm,
anything?
no, as long as I can see it and it's on there. You can make
I
decorative
know
borders.
a lot of people put it like in the middle because they don't really want people to take
Mhm.
it.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. There's different philosophies on how to do that.
Mhm.
If you, me personally, I don't